Hello, everyone. My name is Betty, and this is Right Place, Right Time, a not too woo woo podcast. I actually can't believe I'm saying this. We're releasing our first episode. I've always had a dream of having a podcast. I've pitched it to a few friends just because we say that we're like certified yappers. Truly, I can yap. I wanted a platform to share all of my life experiences. Like, I've been through so many journeys that are transformative. I've learned so much about myself and about life. I tend to find humor in a lot of the things that happen around me and for me, not because they're funny. The timing of everything and like the coincidence and how it all like unravels, plot twists and curveballs from Mama Uni for character development, which is why we named this podcast Right Place, Right Time. It is the story of my life. Let's talk about a most recent life-changing moment that honestly cost me comfort, certainty, and a paycheck. So I'm naming this episode I Didn't Stay Where I Didn't Belong. And if you haven't put two and two together, it is about me quitting my 9 to 5 corporate job, which wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was a very necessary one. I want to kind of break down everything leading into that and how I made my decision and all of the things that happened. Before we break down why I quit my 9 to 5 and how I reached that decision, I want to just talk a little bit about growing up and how I could have actually known that that was not the lifestyle for me very early on. I allowed myself to be influenced by societal pressure and just in general, like traditional views on what you should do as a young adult. I don't have any regrets. I never will. Everything comes with a learning. That was not the box that I was meant to be in. I'm someone who's always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I really didn't tap into that or really honor it as much as I could have. I tried, but I realize now, reflecting back, that it was always in me, and it just took me going through everything I went through to really tap into it. When I was a little girl, I was probably like 9 years old. I lived in this apartment complex and I met a really good friend who's my friend now. She's my childhood bestie. We started our own little car wash just to make extra cash, and we honestly had a little solid business. We would go door to door in our complex. We would offer car washes to everybody who lived there, and then we would go and wash their cars. We would make money. And looking back on that, those little girls had a vision for themselves and did not conform with the financial status that they were given or with what resources they had. They went out of their way and figured something out. And then in general, I was just never really into school or like a structure. I always wanted to march to the beat of my own drum, and it made it really difficult for my mom, bless her soul. She would say, "You never let me put you in front of a TV. Like, you always wanted to go play outside, like create things, do things, be adventurous." And it still holds true. I struggled so much with school, especially in high school. I rarely showed up. I had teachers calling me, I had my friends calling me, like, come to school, come to class. I barely graduated high school. Thank goodness for my counselor. I swear she just saw something in me and pulled me out of whatever I was going through and like put my head on my shoulders and said, "You have to finish." And also, I had a really, really amazing history teacher who would call me. Like, she had no reason to, take time out of her day to call me. But again, I'm so grateful for her and having her on my path. And then obviously one of my best friends who was also checking in on me and being like, "Hey, you got to come to school." And I did. I graduated. I made it work. I pulled it together and I pulled through at the last minute. Then I wanted to accomplish college. I was like, okay, I did high school. All of my friends were going to college and I wanted to do the same. But I struggled so much in the first like 2 or 3 years. I couldn't get the hang of it. I did not enjoy it. And it was worse because there was no structure tied to it. And then fast forward to my early 20s, I was always into fashion and always into social media. My family would joke and say like, "Oh, Betty's always taking a selfie," or "She's always on her phone." And I truly just always loved capturing content and like capturing memories. But I always wanted outlet for it. And so one day out of the blue, because that is how my brain works, I said, I want to start a fashion blog. Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start, but we're going to do this. This was before monetization was a thing. There was not a lot of influencers back then. Everyone was doing blogs. So I built my own website. I captured outfits. I wrote my own blogs. I loved it, but I stopped it because I had to focus on school, focus on work. In hindsight, I wish I would have kept with it, but everything happens for a reason. And I was like, oh, I really enjoy fashion. I wonder if there's something that I can do in terms of school. So then I put myself in fashion school to study for fashion merchandise, and it was at a community college, but I really enjoyed it. It captured my attention. It made me show up to class. I was excited. I was eager to learn. And I got an internship that ended up being a really pivotal internship for me because I was just like a warehouse intern for this like LA apparel clothing store. And it was really cool. I loved it. But one of the marketing people like quit and they offered me a marketing internship. So I had the opportunity to step into this whole new realm. I had no idea what marketing even entailed at that point, but I learned so much. I would do like casting calls for models. I would seek out like social media influencers. I would get makeup artists, photographers. I would build like content for them. I would go to events with them. Like, it was just such a fun time of my life. But that's when I realized I want to do marketing and I want to study that. I'm going to change my career from fashion to marketing because I think I could do more in that. And if I want to stay in the fashion industry, I can do that with marketing. I changed my path. I went to school and I graduated college. I'm so proud of that. Like, that is one of my proudest moments I've ever had. And the crazy thing too is that I transferred over from CC, and when I applied, I accidentally put my wrong GPA, which is such a typical thing for me to do. I just do these little like hiccups and they declined me. I was devastated, like actually devastated, because it meant so much to me to transfer over into a Cal State. The fact that they declined me just honestly was such a heavy moment. But I had a friend who told me, appeal it, like appeal that. You made a mistake. So I did. I wrote a letter. They helped me write the letter and I appealed it. And on my birthday, I remember this day so specifically because I was literally laying on the couch, so devastated. I wanted nothing to do with anything. I opened my phone, I went to my email, and I got the acceptance letter. And I was just like, wow, the way that everything played out, I ended up getting into the Cal State that I wanted to. To graduate with a business degree in marketing was just such a proud moment for myself. I had a non-traditional college experience. I was also a lot later than a lot of my friends at that point because of my figuring it out stage, which again, I do not regret because it led me to exactly where I was supposed to be. I was always so tired and exhausted from going to class from like 8 to 3 and then bartending from 5 to 2 in the morning and then doing it all over again and then somehow mixing in an internship throughout all of that. And it was just a very exhausting period of my life, but I was rolling with it. I was excited to have my plate full because it was, I don't know, I just had this like fire under me that like was lit out of nowhere. But I also remember wanting to get out of that cycle and go into the 9 to 5 structure. Everyone around me was in 9 to 5 corporate America. I remember being like, I can't wait to do that and I can't wait to get there. And a friend of mine said, don't rush this phase of your life. Like, it is not all it's made out to be. Like, 9 to 5 is not that glamorous. Enjoy this time of your life. But you know me, I was just eager. And so I was like, I'm going to make it happen and we're going to get out of here and we're going to do it. And so I did. And I was excited. I was like, I can't wait. And I can't believe I'm finally going to go into this corporate American world that everyone has been experiencing. But then I started thinking about the comment my friend made. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is a different type of exhaustion. It's not necessarily a physical exhaustion like how I was when I was bartending, standing on my feet for hours on end and then having to do school and all of that. So like there was a lot of exhaustion there. This was like a mental and emotional exhaustion. And then I thought to myself, I understand now. I understand why they told me not to rush, because you kind of get out of, your college experience and then you go into this world where you're not really like equipped for just yet, but you have to, roll with the punches and you have to kind of rise to the occasion. But then you're like just mentally exhausted all the time. I do remember really loving the place I worked because it was a multicultural advertising agency, and I would walk into rooms of meetings with like C-level execs who were all speaking Spanish, and I thought, what a really cool experience as a first gen Latina to work in corporate America and have that experience for my first corporate job. I was also building my portfolio outside. I would freelance for, small businesses, some influencers. My title is a senior social media manager. So I was able to give them consultative advice or help them execute their strategies. Okay, now we get into how I quit my most recent role in my 9 to 5 job. I want to preface by saying that I am not here to disparage anything or anyone. I had a very great time there. I just also went through things that are very personal to me. I don't hold resentment for anything that went down because it actually helped lead me to the decision that I didn't realize would help change my life and my trajectory and my purpose. I'm here to speak my truth. And that truth is that no matter how much I tried to show up consistently, show my dedication, show my loyalty, I was questioned for my leadership skills, for my commitment. And it came to a point where I felt like no matter what I did, it was unsatisfying and it wasn't checking off the boxes. I really had faith that I could turn it around. And so I kept trying and I kept trying. I realized that it was deteriorating my happiness and it was getting in the way of my mental health. And I was also driving 4 hours a day back and forth for 3 days a week. So that in itself was deteriorating, and that was my choice. But on top of everything else, it just felt so heavy. And for me, the cherry on top was I really started to dedicate myself to posting more content on social media, truly out of like a creative outlet and just a hobby, just the way that people go golfing after work or knit or play an instrument. I found fulfillment in creating and editing content, and I would do it on my free time. And we all know there's this whole sub community online where it's like what I do during my 5 to 9, and that was what I did during my 5 to 9. I was questioned for my productivity with work because of my remote days and if I was using company time to, satisfy my personal needs. I am a senior social media manager, so this is my world. Everything I know and everything I've done is in social media marketing. It was a little contradicting to say I couldn't post content because that is my job. It was really hard for me to swallow that pill. That's where it really started to click for me that maybe this is a little personal. Maybe no matter what I do, I won't be able to turn this around. And then it just progressively started getting worse. It wasn't until I went on a trip for my birthday to Chicago last year, I had this epiphany because it was the first time I was really like decompressed and unplugged from work. I had this whole weight just kind of settle in of being like, wow, I'm so unhappy. I felt like I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm unhappy. They don't trust me or believe me. Why am I here? Why am I putting myself through this? And of course, I was trying to find other solutions along the way, but I felt like, you know what? Let me take that leap of faith. Let me risk it all and put everything and all my energy into myself and figure it out. I think it's a really crazy thing even thinking about it now, and I'm sure everyone I told was like, okay, we believe in you, but that's a lot. Quitting a 9 to 5 structure that has security and insurance and all the things that it provides to not having that at all, and especially someone who doesn't have financial support or a backup, I know I understand that it's a big thing, but I've always been someone to take those risks, and I've always taken the leaps of faith, and I've always found comfort in discomfort, and I've always known that I can figure it out, and I've had faith in myself. I understand being methodical, being responsible, being rational, but I also think that there's a part of us that just sometimes needs to go for it, especially if your gut and your intuition is telling you that you're not in the right place, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's your personal life, whatever it is. If you have that pull towards something, explore it. Just give it a thought and see where it leads you, because that's what I did. And I've made a lot of crazy decisions in my life, crazy quote unquote, that we can dig into here. But this one by far, I think, was the most pivotal one, because it was really just jumping out of that security blanket. I wanted to give myself the opportunity to find my purpose, to figure myself out. And I'm still figuring things out, and I'm still not sure where all of this is going to lead. I was so willing to take that leap of faith, and I'm so grateful that I did. I want to say this because I feel like it's important, and I don't ever want to come off as someone who is just so confident and sure of themselves, even though that is what I've worked myself up to. But I was a very low self-esteem and low confidence girl growing up, actually through high school and some of my college. I put myself in therapy for 10 years. I worked through all of that hardwired mentality of belittling myself and shrinking myself. And then one day I just was like, I have so much faith in myself and I believe in myself. But it took years and years of practice and putting myself through difficult situations. I want to say that it is possible to grow into a mindset where you believe in yourself and you trust yourself to figure everything out, because I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, I don't have insight into the future. I don't know. This could be the worst decision I've ever made, but I do trust myself enough to know that I will figure it out along the way, and I will not let myself fall, because I will always give it my best foot forward. And if things don't work out, then at least I know I tried and I gave it my best. So I hope this was inspirational in some way, and also just gives you insight into a little bit of my personality. I'm excited to dive deep into different topics and share with you guys experiences that I've gone through that have all led me to exactly where I am. It's all about being at the right place at the right time, divine timing. We believe in it. I'm so happy to be here. I hope you come back for episode 2. I'll be dropping these weekly. Just make sure you subscribe, put that notification bell on. I don't really know how it works yet, but we'll figure it out. And I'm sorry if I rambled. I am known to add so much fluff. My friend makes fun of me and she's like, you make short stories long. And yes, I do, because details are important. I need to take you all around to come right back, because all of those little details are what fuel me and add lore to my personality and my life. I love you guys. Bye.